There is a specific moment most high-performing people know very well. It usually hits somewhere between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. You are not sick. You slept last night. You had your coffee. Your morning actually started well, but by early afternoon, something shifts. Your thinking slows down. Simple decisions feel harder than they should. You read the same sentence 3 times and still don't absorb it. Someone asks you a question and you pause longer than usual before answering. You are not tired from physical work. You are mentally drained, and you cannot explain why. Here is what most people do at that point. They drink more coffee. They push through. Or they blame themselves, thinking they just need more discipline, more willpower, more motivation. But the real answer has nothing to do with any of that. It is happening inside your brain, and once you understand it, everything changes. Most people think of the brain as something that runs on general energy, the same way your body does. But neuroscience tells a different story. Your brain runs on glucose, and while it only makes up about 2% of your body weight, it consumes roughly 20% of your total energy at rest. That number comes from research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. But here is the critical part that most people miss. Your brain does not spend that energy equally across the day. There is a region called the prefrontal cortex, the front part of your brain. And this is where your most important thinking happens. Decision-making, focus, problem-solving, emotional regulation, creative thinking. This region is incredibly powerful, but it is also incredibly expensive to run. Every time you make a decision, even a small one, the prefrontal cortex burns energy. Every time you switch your attention from one thing to another, it burns energy. Every time you filter out a distraction, it burns energy. And that energy does not refill instantly. So by the time you reach early afternoon, after hours of emails, decisions, messages, meetings, and context switching, your prefrontal cortex is running low. Not empty, but significantly depleted. This is not a motivation problem. This is brain biology. In 2011, a now famous study was published looking at Israeli judges making parole decisions throughout the day. The researchers found something remarkable. In the morning, judges approved roughly 65% of parole requests. By late afternoon, that number dropped to nearly zero. Same judges, same types of cases, completely different outcomes, just based on where they were in the day. The researchers concluded that repeated decision-making depletes the mental resources needed for careful, rational thinking. This became known as decision fatigue. And here is why this matters for you. By the time most professionals reach 2 p.m., they have already made hundreds of decisions. What to reply to, what to prioritize, which meeting matters, what to eat, how to respond to a difficult email, whether to take a call or reschedule it. Each of these individually feels small, but your prefrontal cortex does not distinguish between a big decision and a small one. It burns energy on all of them. So by early afternoon, you are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. You are experiencing the same neurological depletion that affected those judges. Your brain is protecting itself by slowing down. There is a second factor that accelerates this drain significantly, and it is something almost every professional does all day without realizing the cost. It is called context switching. Every time you move from one task to another, from a spreadsheet to a message thread, from a meeting to an email, from a document to a social media notification, your brain has to stop, release the previous context, load the new one, and refocus. Research from the University of California, Irvine found that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully regain deep focus after a single interruption. 23 minutes. Now think about how many times you switch tasks or get interrupted in a single morning. For most professionals, that number is in the dozens. This means most people are never fully focused at any point in the day. They are always partially loaded into the last task, partially loading the next one, and burning significant energy just managing those transitions. This is one of the primary reasons smart, capable people feel drained so early in the day. It is not the volume of work. It is the constant switching that depletes cognitive resources faster than most people realize. Here is something that surprises most people when they first hear it. Resting your body does not automatically rest your brain. When you sit down to take a break and immediately check your phone, scroll through social media, read the news, watch a short video, your brain is still working. The prefrontal cortex is still processing, still reacting to new information, still making micro decisions about what to pay attention to and what to ignore. This type of passive consumption feels restful because your body is still. But neurologically, it is just a different kind of stimulation, and it does very little to restore the cognitive resources you need for focused, high-quality work. Research on something called the default mode network, a system in the brain that activates during genuine rest and quiet, shows that this network plays a critical role in memory consolidation, problem-solving, and mental recovery. But the default mode network only activates when your brain is not actively processing external input. In other words, your brain recovers during genuine quiet, not during scrolling. So, what can you actually do about this? Based on what the science shows, there are 3 changes worth making. The first is to protect your mornings ruthlessly. Your prefrontal cortex is at its strongest in the first 90 minutes after waking, before the day depletes it. This window is when your best thinking, your most important decisions, and your deepest work should happen. Not email, not messages, not social media. Your most cognitively demanding task of the day belongs in this window. The second is to build real recovery breaks into your day. Not scrolling breaks, not consumption breaks, actual quiet. Even 5 to 10 minutes of sitting without a screen, ideally with some natural light or a short walk outside, activates the default mode network and begins genuine cognitive recovery. Research published in Psychological Science found that even brief exposure to nature or quiet significantly restored directed attention capacity. The third is to reduce decision volume, not by avoiding decisions, but by batching them, automating the small ones, and removing unnecessary choices from your day. This is part of why some high-performing professionals wear the same type of clothing each day, eat similar meals, and keep their morning routine identical. They are not being rigid. They are conserving prefrontal cortex energy for what actually matters. Mental exhaustion by 2 p.m. is not a personality flaw. It is not laziness. It is not weakness. And more coffee is not the solution. It is your brain telling you something precise, that your cognitive resources are limited, that the way you are spending them matters, and that recovery is not optional. It is biological. The professionals who perform consistently across a full day are not people with more willpower. They are people who understand how their brain works and who build their day around that reality. Once you start doing the same, the afternoon drain does not disappear overnight, but it starts getting smaller. Your focus stays sharper longer. Your decisions feel clearer later in the day. And the mental heaviness that used to hit you at 2 p.m. starts shifting. Because you are not fighting your brain anymore. You are working with it. If this gave you a new way to think about your energy and focus, subscribe to this channel. Every week, we break down real brain science, not generic wellness advice, so you can think more clearly, perform more consistently, and protect your mental health for the long term. Stay sharp.